Hello and welcome to the PM Show, your weekly roundup of what's going on in the modelling world, and a special Trumpeter edition of the show, showcasing what fantastic kits they are at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally agree.
It is.
Agree. Yeah.
I must admit, it's one of those weird things. It's like we said, we'll get some bits out, and you forget some of the gems that they've actually done and how much of it I've built.
Yeah.
I've built a lot of Trumpeter, and again, you just sort of gloss over it. I don't know why. It's Trumpeter. They don't make a big song and dance like some of the manufacturers. They just release it. And let's face it, in the early 2000s, shall we say, they were prolific, weren't they? Every month something was coming out. It was just relentless.
You know, I was about to say that they were at one point literally like weekly. You would have a new release of something or another variant, and again, I like the eclectic mix of what they do.
Yes,
they do some weird and wacky stuff that nobody would touch mainstream with a barge pole, especially on the aircraft in 48. There is some, because they went very British at one point. I know, people are going to say, well, they're not the most accurate and blah blah blah, and that's a fair point. But they did a 48, like they did a Defiant before. Airfix did theirs, and then Scimitars and
the Whirlwind,
the Attackers, the Wyvern.
Yeah,
I mean, God, there's some all sorts. I know they've obviously gone a lot of Russian and Soviet stuff. I mean, you can't get every variant of a T-62 tank ever produced, I think.
Yeah,
and other things like that. But early Trump. I mean, I've got my big Hurricane here that I built.
Yes. And again, this is one of those things. I think me and you have done a little bit of thing about Hurricanes recently, but it's that thing, isn't it, where you forget that they've got a full lineup of all the scales.
Yes.
As I say, from the small stuff right the way through, but really big scale stuff, they've got everything covered right the way up to 24th scale. And as I say, their 24th scale Hurricane that you've got there, which I'm itching to build one. It's one of those things where when you see it in the flesh, it's a big, impressive aircraft, and there's a lot of plastic in there, and it's not massively expensive either, not considering what other AAA manufacturers would charge for something like that. You know, and again, it's a good solid kit. They're not new kits either. Like this collection down here, I suppose this will be the youngest, and then obviously Sky Ranger and that. But early Trumpeter, I think, got a little bit of flack. Let's face it. Quite rightly so. The riveting detail, we used to joke about it, called the Trumpeter Riveter, who had literally it was big. It was like drill holes really all over your model, which wasn't exactly brilliant. The accuracy issue was always a little bit iffy. Certain things were blazingly obvious. It had like wrong shaped tails and noses and things like that. And their decals as well were a little bit notorious for perhaps forgetting to print the other side. So you get two lefts.
Yeah, I think
that happened a lot.
The stencils were the best.
The stencils, which I have on here, which have got step on.
Yeah, step on.
This is what famously for it. This kit has got actual ones, and instead of being no step, it's actually got step on, and I've got it to stand on here. And as I say, it's like step on. It should be no step, but again, these are little things you sort of forgive, and I deliberately left them on because I thought, why not?
Again, I mean, this Hurricane here is, I wouldn't say it's simplified, but it's very easy to build. It's not overly complicated.
Yeah.
I don't think you get an engine with these. I can't remember. It's that long since I built it, but it looks like an Hurricane to me. Accuracy wise, well, I don't know, but who don't like Hurricane with big cannons hanging off it, and
absolutely,
and in a desert camo. So. Again, it was a really enjoyable build from what I can remember of doing it. It were no issues. And I always find that with Trumpeter, I think they're well designed. They always go together.
Yes.
Fit wise, they're pretty cleanly moulded as well. There's not a lot of clean up. Again, I'm just putting this together, which is that there. And apart from my own, misreading of something, which you'll see in the video, it's an all right kit. It's It's a good solid kit. So I know, like, you've just built that gun, didn't you, for you go off the back of your truck. quite a complicated little piece, isn't it?
Absolutely, incredibly detailed. You've got photo etch in there as well. You've got metal barrels,
Yeah.
and as I say, it took longer to build the small little gun that goes on the flatbed of the truck than it did the truck.
Yeah.
And again, you couldn't fault it. There's a few errors on my part putting it together, and I think that's what caused some issues, which I sort of you spot afterwards. But generally, though, the level of detail in it is absolutely phenomenal. It's fantastic. It could do with a couple of crew in there, really, to mount, actually, give the gun some more look. But again, just off the bat, it's a fantastic bit of engineering. But, as you say, like going back a little bit, if you think, in the early 2000s, they were sort of quite a new company. Obviously, there is a tie-in which gets very complicated, as we know, with what would have been Merit back in the day and
Boss in it now.
Hobby Boss now, and obviously, what's the other one as well? Does all the shippy things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's that I Love Kit now, isn't it?
I Love Kits now, which I think's taken over Merit. Yeah, it gets a little bit of thing, but they've got a small tie-in amongst all the group that goes through. But obviously, it does work because, as I say, if you look at around about 2010, it seemed to be weekly. There would be a new kit coming out of something. And by that point as well, they'd sort of really got it down packed. I think, as you say, the 2000s, there was some dodgy things in there, but by then I think with the internet opening up, and that was the saviour for the company, because obviously don't forget in China there is no Google. So it is that thing about trying to get references and various bits of the thing. They were sort of pushing their luck because they didn't have any first hand, but now with the internet I think there's a lot of modelers. I know a couple myself. I used to help out as well, where I'd send them information on things, just to say, look, you might want to look at this, and again, it was always greatly appreciated. You always had your little contact in there as well, and again, they went on to produce what I think are some of the more legendary kits of the hobby that still stand up to today, that nobody else has gone near, and that's the interesting thing with it. I
think they're a bit of pioneering 32nd scale aircraft.
Absolutely,
they took it and run with it. I mean, I've dug back out that I did start again a while ago. One of my shelf queens is the MiG-19.
Yes.
And I tell you what, that is a phenomenal kit.
Yes.
I think it's probably like a very overlooked aircraft, as in full stop worldwide. It's not a MiG-17, a 15, or a MiG-21. It's that in-betweeny one. But you get two full engines that are really detailed. You get obviously the little cradle to put one on. It's got very well designed, to be honest. It's a really I've overcomplicated it by aftermarket, which really in hindsight, probably wheels perhaps if you want to go that, but I've gone for cockpits, and the seat's weak. It's not bad, but an upgraded seat, because it's 32nd is what you see, but again, not a problem with building it. It's very straightforward, and I know they're very basic, their instructions, but they're no nonsense.
No, that's right. As you say, it goes together. It's not overcomplicating stuff. That's the nice thing to it. And I also like these, I think, showcase it the best, is that you can take straightforward kit and do something a little bit special with it, because you've got all the means for it. I often talk about, obviously, there's a lot of manufacturers out there now that, they throw everything in the box, which then makes it really expensive. And you're looking at sort of 200 quid for it, because it's got all the engines and it's got all the details and everything else. But what I always liked about Trumpeter, and obviously we did it with this one, if I go and pick it up and turn it round, is obviously we did on here the actual engine hanging off of this, engine bay, the works into it that we did. And it was only a little bit of scratch building. It wasn't tons of scratch building into that. It was just a little bit of work. Again, we added a little bit of plumbing around the cockpit area. We added a little bit of harnesses on there for the seats, the various bits and pieces, removed before flight tags, those types of things in there, just to give it a little bit of depth, if you like, into the model. And it came away really, really stunning and didn't cost any money really. It was only just scrap and plastic card, bit of lead wire, and we added a lot of detail down into the kit. And the same goes really with the hind as well. Aftermarket decals on it, but generally the rest of it really, really nice. The only thing I did with it, because again it tends to be a weak spot with most helicopters, and the hind is a classic, you can see it, is the actual instrument panels and dials. I'm not very good at painting, so I used a colour photo etch set in this one. So we went through the motions of putting that one in, just to give it that next layer of detail down into it, because there is a lot of glass, you can see it all in there. And if I was to try and do them, and obviously if you've got some, as they had, really awful decals for instruments, it's not going to work. So spent a few quid in there, but generally the rest of it really, really nice. No problem at all with it.
I presume now you can get a Quinta one.
I'm
You get
sure you
3D
would. Yeah,
printed, I think,
yeah.
like you for that now. So
I
again,
would have thought
from
so. Yeah,
from when you built it, the hobby's come on again.
yeah.
So,
But again, looking through just below us here, we got some of the review ones he did, and I've even forgot about like the Sea Hornet.
yeah,
Classic
Dragonfly.
kit. Obviously the Wellingtons, because obviously they do the 48 scale of Wellingtons, which no one does.
No, and they're really, really good kits. The 48th Wellingtons as well. Obviously, I know this. They were one of the first to the 72nd. Obviously, before the old Airfix and the Matchbox ones. You know what I mean? I know MPM. I think it was MPM did some as well.
Yes.
But again, mainstream. I'm talking the floggers, and obviously you've built the 48 FSU 24.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, again, they do a Vigilante. I know it's not great, but a 48 Vigilante again is a lump. And I've seen them built, and to be honest, it's early Trumpeter, but it's a thing to see, isn't it?
It is, because I built it, and again, that's one where we sort of talk about it. It's because it's early Trumpeter. The things you have to watch out for is one, the riveting, and it is massively heavily overdone on that, and also the seam lines from multi-part injection molding. So obviously, it's got quite nasty seam lines, which then tie in with a lot of detail. So unfortunately, from that point of view, it's a little bit horrid to see it. But again, you just spend half an hour cleanup before you get going, and you can take care of it all. And I know a lot of people now with that particular kit as well, if you just give it a couple of coats of Mr. Surface first before you paint it, that takes care of that overdone riveting. And you're good to go. Another one I forgot down in there is the Dolphin helicopter. I can't get it out because it's literally buried in my display cabinet. But again, we did it as the Coast Guard version. We know there's other versions of that helicopter out there as well in 35th scale. It's sort of brilliant kit. It's really, really good kit. Again, it's not without its issues because it's sort of early Trumpy as well. So the glass work took a little bit of going in. So I did end up 3-minute epoxy in it in place, and then just took it to the belt sander. So it sounds brutal, but it worked, and that was it. We were job done. But again, their 70-second Russian kits are sort of legendary. They're MiG-29s, Su-27s, things like that, the 33s, and all of those that we've done. Really, really good kits right the way through. And again, the MiG-21. Which I did is in flight, which he's back now, was at obviously with you for a while. And the difference between that, obviously a lot of people would say, but Edard's got the better one. Yes, it is. Don't get me wrong. The Edard one is far superior to the Trumpy one. The difference is the Trumpy one is really straightforward build. There's no nasty surprises. There's no bits to get in there and all the rest of it. The detail's all there, but it's a lot more of a simple, straightforward build. And to be honest with you, when I did that one, because I was doing it in flight, that was a classic example. All the detail that's on the Edard kit is in things like the air brakes, it's in the wheel wells, it's in the cockpit. And that's what you're paying for that kit. So if you're doing it on the ground, obviously I would do the Edard one, but if you're doing it in flight where it's all closed up and you don't see any of it, that's a perfect example of when Trumpeter, you'd be your straightforward choice for it, and that's why I ended up doing that particular version.
I mean, they did the early version of the MiG-21 as well, which nobody else tackles in 48, the flip up, because they do it in 32nd as well. The short shot cone thing. Again, 32nd MiG-29s. Again, you could go on and on. I think for what they do and what they don't. Again, I'm thinking more to their armor side of stuff, and some of this, the MAS tank transporter is something God, that's
huge,
brilliant. And the SA2, with the truck and the KVs and like I say, the T62s, the T72s, it goes on and on. Their catalogue for armor, doesn't it? Because we stock it, but they even do the AS9 tech. It's an older kit, but it's the only one that I know of. So again, and obviously the tools.
And again, that's the other side of it. I think where, again, we've spoken about it because we've done lots of it recently. Obviously, I did the review yesterday for the what they're calling the high quality nippers, which we got down in here. So if you haven't seen it, it's on yesterday's show. Apart from the squeak, which I will be attacking this with WD-40 later, again, when you look at the price, you often think, especially when you're talking tools like this, you often think, right, okay, it can't be that good. because it's 15 quid or it's 30 quid. And, you know, obviously, if you want a pair of high quality nippers, single blade nippers, you're looking at 50 to 80 quid if you're going to go down God hands. But like, I've been championing these 16 quid, their budget one, if you like, because they're probably the best one for the money, hands down. And I use this one, to be honest, all the time. And it does do a really good job. And really, when you're talking then, and you really are talking, the minute differences between the others, when you're talking 16 quid, yeah, we got it on the site, 16 quid, and then obviously you've got the new one that comes in at 30, and then they're behind here, I can't get them, but then obviously you go into the display, which is the main one, which is at 50 quid, and then you go into your God hands, there you go, you go into your God hands one, so if you're looking at 70, maybe 80 by the time you get them in the UK, because, you know, trying to get them past customs, you're into a large amount of money for how much difference realistically. You know, literally most of us are going to do clean up afterwards. You know, you are going to take care of the little nib, the little bit of sprue that's left on there, so you're going to give it a quick sand off. So again, that's where they're really good. And I've been using this one now for what, 2 years or whatever. I did a paper test on it yesterday where you literally just cut paper with it. Perfect, absolutely perfect. No different from the brand new ones, and no different to the Godhand ones either, and stuff like that. So again, it's one of those things where I think it's very easy to overlook. Other tools as well, where, you know, in some ways, scrapers, absolutely, scrapers have changed my life.
We've got to champion their scrapers.
We've got to champion the scrapers.
I've got all three here, but yeah, they, you know, I mean, the amount of these we sell is just phenomenal, really.
If I bring them up, people can see what we're talking about here.
We're actually, you know, we only had we have a restock of the number 76 last week, was it?
Yes.
We're out again. We're sold out.
Yeah, sorry.
So we're going to have to get some more in. But yeah, you know, snips, look.
Oh, look, the snips have sold out, but these are the cheap ones. We'll get them back in. They're going to be coming in within a week.
Yeah.
So, you know, these are the ones we were talking about. These are the cheap ones, say 16 quid. Really, really very, very nice ones. Yeah. And then obviously the more expensive ones are the ones that I did on the review yesterday, is these ones here, which is to say for 30 quid. They're really nice. You get the little pouch, which don't think that's a gimmick. Use it because it will save the tips of your blades. They're very thin on the tip, and if you put them face down in a pot, a mug, because I think that's what happened to my Godam once.
No, I've wrecked mine. People know they're broken. The trouble is, them Godam ones are
very thin.
They're very thin. They can be very. If you cut the wrong thing, they will break.
Yes.
Or shatter. And I think that's the downside to them. I think they are too.
Yeah.
They're too good, if that makes sense. And that's a daft thing to say, but they're not very robust.
No.
I know somebody messaged me about them ones that you were reviewing, and they've had some goddamn ones, and I think they done the same thing. As they cut the wrong mill of plastic too thick.
Yeah.
Shattered the blade, took the tip off or whatever. I mean, mine still work, but there's a chunk out of them, and I mean, I was pretty gutted at the time, but you know, you've got to be well careful with them. And I know, you know, reading a few other comments in the past that people shattered the ends of them, to be honest.
Again, I think the biggest thing as well, and I do speak about it in yesterday's show, is that don't cut clear parts with it, because that plastic is very, very hard. It's not like styrene where it just cuts through like butter. Those, it's a lot of pressure it takes to go through, and because the blades are so thin, which is what enables you to get right in close, there's hardly any sprue tab left over when you remove it, the part. Because it's so thin, if that comes under load, it doesn't take much for it to shatter. And I've got one with a C shape right out the middle of the blade. You know, and that was caused by something like that. So again, just be very mindful about it when you're going in with harder plastics. Remember, it is a precision tool. It says on here 3 mil. I wouldn't be cutting through, what's it called? My Thingy's plastic.
What? You've lost it.
The VC10 kit, who makes that?
Oh, the Mac 2. Oh,
Mac 2. No. You're not going to be cutting Mac 2 sprues and bits off with your nice precision cutters, because that's hard stuff. And you will break it. So keep it for what it's designed for. Is like, you know, getting off piping is brilliant for it. Aerials is brilliant for it. Tank tracks is another classic because it leaves hardly any sprue behind. So you haven't got to do the clean up afterwards. you know.
Yeah.
So that's when a good pair of snips comes in, because you can get it so close, you just clip, 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 and then you haven't got to go around and sand it all afterwards, because you know you've probably got enough in there that it's not going to warrant it.
Yeah.
So that's good. But the scrapers, you know, classic example, Trumpeter scraper, $12.99, out of stock, apologies. Be back in soon. But we've got the other types in there as well. I've changed my entire modelling. You know, the classic is I've been working on this sub, and whereas before it would have been sanders, I know I manufacture sanders, so I should be championing sanders, but this was a classic example of that I can get in there and take off very small amounts and do very precise cleanup with it without making any sort of collateral damage over the rest of the model.
My thing is with it, they do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Of taking the bulk of the material off.
Yeah.
Before you go in with your sanders to then finish it, polish it, and get it where you want. Where, like you said, you go in with your sanders. And you're taking you can do a lot of needless damage.
Yes. Yeah, you can cause work, make
cause
work
yourself a lot more work. Exactly. That you could obviously, just cut down by using the scraper first to take the bulk of it off, and then go in with your sanders and polishers and get it looking fine. But yeah, obviously, you're showing this is like Trumpet out of stock. We have got a restock actually coming to Trumpy stuff, because it does sell that fast.
Yes.
Especially the tools. I mean, the etch benders as well. They do the 3 different.
That's what I was just about to say. I've got, again, behind here, a set of photo etch benders, the big ones, which are 90 quid.
Yeah.
And back in the day, and don't get me wrong, it's a precision piece of engineering with these benders because of the shapes. You know, it's got to be milled out of a single piece of whatever it is of steel. And so it's not a cheap process to do it. But again, I always thought they were overpriced for what they are, especially for what I use them for, because I'm not one that uses all the funny shapes, the plus and the sort of, the male and female sides of it. So I tend to just use it for folding and away you go. But again, it's one of those things. Trumpeter came along, and to say their biggest one they do, which I've got one of those as well, at 38 quid. Is like half the price of what the standard ones were that are out there. And again, you probably don't need a massive one anyway. I've just got the little small one, which works perfectly well for me. And for 22 quid, it's great for doing any sort of 48 scale, 38, fifth scale stuff. You don't need the massive one anyway. And really, really good stuff. Straightforward, no frills.
I think the big one, if you're doing like tank fenders, because you need the length. But I think, little boxes or like, bits of photo etching, that the small or the medium are perfect. Yes. But, again, they do a good range of tools. They're good value for money. So I think that's the main thing.
I think that is the thing at the end of the day, is that don't think because it's cheap, it's cheap Chinese. Because I must admit, that's the other thing as well. And hopefully we've all grown up a little bit now. But it used to be that if you bought stuff from China, it would rust and fall apart, because they always use cheap metals and alloys and various things like it, because that's why it was cheap. But nowadays, the quality's there, the precision's there. And I think from our point of view as a hobby, pretty much everything comes out of China. All your tooling tends to be done in China because they're very, very good at it. Injection molding, the best companies out there, let's face it, are all in China as well. So from that point of view, it is one of those things where, you might be thinking, oh, it's Chinese, it's cheap. It's not worth it, buy twice and all of that. But actually, this is one of the few things where buy once and it's lasting, it's doing really, really well. And at the end of the day, like I've said, if it breaks after 5 years, I've had my money's worth, so I don't care.
Yeah, definitely. You've had your money's worth, haven't you? So, we've just thought today we'd talk about Trump, because again, like we're saying, it's a manufacturer now that gets overlooked.
I think
apart from tools and from from our point of view here, like I say, we sell tons and tons of tools, but kit wise, it's slow. It's one of the slower sellers. But I think, again, new release wise, they've definitely slowed down.
Yes.
We are waiting for their MI24 to come out in 48, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is due very, very soon.
And they have released a lot of variants of stuff they've already done.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like I say, it's one of them. When the new stuff comes out, though, again, it's a shame they've not back up. I know 30-second we always say is a bit niche, and it is to a point. It is it's a hard sell, I think.
Yeah.
But again, if you look at their catalogue, I think the last release for 30-second was the MiG-29 range.
Yeah, it would have been.
I think
Yeah.
it was, which
Yeah.
is a few years ago. It's, so they've obviously gauged the market and think, well, these aren't selling as well as perhaps we thought it was. But again, I can't remember the last 48 kit they released either. Yeah, I actually can't. I can't remember what it was.
I was going to say the last ones we've got up here of reviews is when they were doing a lot of the 72nd scale MIGs family, you know, and obviously the Vulcan came out.
I mean, there is stuff they have released. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But I mean, the Whirlwind, the Western World, I built that kit. That's a really nice little kit. I know it's a bit inaccurate, as people say, but again, the only other company I'd think that would tackle it in 48, obviously the old accurate airframes one, would be Airfix.
Yes.
But then, would you get any mileage out of it?
Well, this is it. This is very, very true.
Again,
I think it's one of those things we were saying is that obviously the cost of manufacturing 32nd scale kits, you know, and I know, you know, to dispel the rumour here, these companies aren't just making loads of money and then charging you, the end user, and they're probably making 500% on everything they sell. So honestly, I don't think it's like that. Because obviously when you're looking at a kit, say this big or these sort of size, when you're looking at something that's probably around about 60 centimetres long, you have to imagine, though, the actual size of the tooling that goes in the machine to do that. So that's going to be a lot bigger, and it's going to be very thick because the pressure is also needed to shove molten plastic round all of a sprue size that are this big is a lot. So that it's one of those things. I think people just think, oh, it's just out of a bit of alley and they just mill it out. It's not. It's very, very expensive. Tooling is one of the most expensive costs in the actual manufacturing process. So the thing is, when you're dealing with kits this big, for each sprue, you've got this bloody great chunk of, you know, high quality metal that then's got to be machined and tooled and all the rest of it and checked and all the rest of it that goes into it, into very large injection molding things. Those costs over the last, that we've seen, 2 years have gone through the roof. You know, the cost of moving around even tooling like this, because it's very heavy as well, has gone up through the roof and everything else. The cost of shipping boxes now, this big, because you can only get so many in a container. Smaller stuff, you get a lot more in a container, you know, but as I say, getting big kits into containers is a lot. And me and Matt have discussed it, saying, it looks like Trumpeter's taken the foot off the gas doing big tooling. Perhaps they're acutely aware that the cost has gone up. The margins are quite small on those kits as well, you know. So, you know, this goes on to other things we were talking about with Lancasters recently, you know, where people are like, oh my God, look at the cost of those things. You know, well, that's because it's very large things, you know, they cost a lot of money to shift around and to deal with and everything else. And we were looking and saying it looked like a lot of the manufacturers have just taken the throttle off of the big stuff and gone more mid-range, 48 scale. And then we've seen, you know, I face it, an explosion, haven't we, in 72nd scale stuff these days, you know, and 72nd scale is probably just, there's more of that being released these days than there is in 48th. And that a few years ago was where it was all at. And I think that's just because the world's slightly changed a little bit. You know, there's a lot of sort of costs and underlying costs that I really think modelers don't see. You know, and it's one of those things where that's why we're not seeing big kits like this come out.
I do think, though, with the 72nd as well, I think the technology to produce a good kit has moved on. Like leaps and bounds over the last 10 years, 5 years, whatever. And it's moving on. So what, like you've always said, is like what used to be 48th, or even 32nd can now be done in 72nd.
In 72nd,
I know we always hark back to it, but the Armour Hobbies Hurricane is
the
one of them
detail that's in that is just phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a few other kits out there as well that have, you know, are downscaled, if you want to call it, whatever. But the detail in them is just unbelievable now, and that's 72nd, you know. So it can be done. So, like I say, I presume it's cheaper to produce a 72nd kit than a 32nd. I have no idea. I'm not into that. But, you know, again, I know, talk to one of our suppliers, for shipping, like you've just said with a container, what you can get in a container and how much a container costs, from their point of view, it's more viable to get more 72nd kits in than it is for 32nd, 24th. You know, that's just basic logistics and pricing, isn't it? And you're smirking, aren't you?
No, I'm saying. No, honestly, it may have just been something we were told. Anyway.
Yes.
Anyway, in other news, speaking of hurricanes, we got a little bit of information through yesterday. which confirmed that Revell's, we think it's a Mark IIB, isn't it?
Mark IIB is a new tool.
Is a brand new tooled kit coming by Revell in 30-second scale.
Which, we've been harping on at how long for different scales of hurricanes.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
70 second is now covered. Armour,
yeah, we've got that done.
Has covered it, haven't they? Let's be honest, they've done everything. So 48th is obviously, you can get Mark 1 Hurricanes, which you've always been able to get, but Mark 2s are very thin on the go. And in 30 seconds, even worse, isn't it? So fingers crossed, that we've had a reliable source say it's a brand new tool from Revell. Themselves have said it.
Which is good, because me and Matt, the reason we went a bit snoopy on this to find out is because, what did we say, 1958 was the other one?
69 was the first release of the
69 was the first release of the, and we were thinking, oh my God, please don't say this is the old one.
Well, until, we've been told this, until it's official, it's a new tooled one, brand new tooled, that's what we've been told, and that's what we're hoping for.
Yes.
Until we get some CAD shots and all the other bits and bobs, then obviously, we're still a bit,
We're more that than that, put it that way. We have been told a couple of things, and we're just really hopeful that that is what we've been told.
Yes.
And it comes to fruition, because if it does, like we've been saying, the world has been screaming out for the Hurricane. I think it's been really overlooked, and we've been championing the Hurricane now for the last few years, trying to get companies to get themselves together and get it out. And let's face it, there is kits around. Let's not overlook things like Airfix's 48 scale Mark 1 Hurricane.
Kit.
That's a lovely kit, goes together really nicely. I've built it.
Italy's Mark 1 into bad kit either. It's not full. So that's 48. But again, we're talking Mark 2s, not Mark 1. So the Battle of Britain ones have always been covered because they're probably the most famous. Yes. But when you get onto, the tank buster one, or the bomber one, or whichever one, the Mark 2s, I think there's more variants. I think they were more used in wider conflicts as well around the world.
Yeah, you say North Africa and obviously in the Pacific.
And then obviously Lend-Lease from the Russians, they had them, Burma and India. Yeah,
definitely. I think there's more mileage in the Mark II than there is the Mark 1. So
again, it's not a Spitfire, it's not as glamorous, but it was a mainstay of the RAF and other air forces throughout the war, weren't it? Let's be honest. So
definitely
a good solid aircraft. So fingers crossed. You've been building obviously the Spitfire from Revell, haven't you, at the minute?
Yeah, have it hard. Looking good.
It's got no thrills.
No.
But it looks like a Spitfire.
Absolutely. And like we were saying before, and I've sort of championed this kit this last few weeks building it, the simplicity of the build, the detail is all there. You can add to it if you wanted to, or you could just go with it. But you're not paying for, it's not the Tamiya Mark 9. It's still a Mark 9 spec, and to be honest, on the surface detail, I think by the time we've weathered it, it isn't going to be much in it. Okay, the Tamiya Spit's got a fantastically highly detailed cockpit, which is amazing, and it goes together beautifully. It's got an amazing, fully detailed Merlin engine and all the plumbing. Absolutely amazing. It's got incredible detail, the way that all the cowlings and the engine covers and everything go on, because it's all magnetic. It's absolutely fantastic. Wheel wells, gear, flaps that move, and all the rest of it. But if you just want a Spitfire, and you don't want an engine, and you're going to have the cockpit shut, or you might do it in flight, so you're not going to see any gear and wheels, this is a 30 quid kit, so from a surface detail, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And again, if you're new to the hobby, or you're not just want to build something with all the fancy stuff, you just like to move through your builds, then it's a perfectly good kit. It's an excellent kit. I've had no fit issues with it, and that's always the nice thing. There's flash on it, there's sink marks on it. But again, that's flash is a 2-minute job with a sander just to whip it off and a knife, and a sink marks is a tiny bit of filler, and you're good to go. It's not a Tamiya kit, don't get me wrong, but you're not paying 120 quid for it.
Yeah,
you're paying 30
quid
that's
for it. It's priced as well.
Like we're saying with tools and everything else, you pay your money and you get what you want. But I still think and maintain, and we'll say it till I'm blue in the face, that's a perfectly good kit. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, and especially if you don't worried about engines and stuff. And also from a build point of view, if you're a builder that likes to move through your builds, shall we say, as you say, 40 hours in there, you're done. That Spitfire, you're going to be double that easily.
Yeah.
So again, if you don't want to get bogged down into builds that take months and months and months, then definitely. And again, like we said before, and I know we're talking Trumpeter here, but Revell are very similar. It's like it's a no frills. The boxes are solid boxes. It's full of stuff inside the Trumpeter ones. You get a little bit of photo etch sometimes, but that's usually around about it. But you come out with a really nice kit that you can then add to and do anything to. It's not like Tamiya, which has got everything thrown in it as well. A mask set that isn't a mask set. It's just a piece of Tamiya tape with printed on.
Yeah, you have to put it out yourself. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
But yeah, it is. It's one of those things. But yeah, just finishing off on the Trumpeter section, I would say if you've never built one, give them a go. Absolutely. Just be mindful, the older ones can be a little bit of an experience, purely because they're probably not going to be those accurate kits, and you might have an odd little problem with it. But like we said, basic modelling skills, you'll be absolutely fine. What you can do with them though is just take, and to be honest, that's why I've kept this kit all these years, even though I had the Zucamori one, with all the stuff, which is what, 220 quid, wasn't it, or whatever it was?
I can't remember what it is now, but
it was horrendous price, and you still didn't get weapons and stuff. That was extra. So I had this one when it got released many years ago, over 10 years ago now, and I think at the time it was something like 80 quid. I
don't think it's far off 80 quid now.
I was going to say, I don't think it's gone up like some of them do. So it's still sub 100 quid, and that is a big lump. That's a chunk and a half of a plane.
That's a big plane.
But the reason I kept that one and didn't do the Zucamori one is because the Zucamori one has got all those details you're never going to see, like pistons inside the cylinders.
Oh God, yeah, it does.
Formers and all of those things, and I'm thinking, do I really want to be putting pistons in cylinders when I can just put an engine in like this and away we go? But again, it's one of these things. They've all got brilliant things. There's lots of aftermarket out there available from them as well, so you can add as much detail as you want, or you can just build it straight out of the box and have a really fun build with them. So that's why I've kept these and haven't gone for other routes, because I do like them for their simplicity of build. And to be honest, I've still got down in there, I've got a TU 160 Blackjack to go along with my bomber fleet, which is an old kit, but it's a good kit. And I've got an MI8 to go with my Hind down here as well. And I've got loads of other ones. I've got a Growler down there. Their 32nd scale kits are really good. They do some really good stuff, but they're older now, but they still beat anything that's out there. And that's the nice thing to them.
I mean, they've got 30-second arrows, haven't they? The AV8 stuff. I'm just looking. I'm just actually looking. So, a general price on your Sky Raider,
yes,
is a grand total of £78.
Well, there you go. That's a bargain.
Your Intruder's gone up.
Yes.
To be honest, that's gone up. But some of the older 30-second stuff, like the Dauntless and what else we got? It's still sub £100, I'd say.
Yes.
I forgot they do 30-second Hellcats. I mean, you obviously had the experience of their Corsair, shall we say?
Yes. I have built their Corsair once.
But
that was self-imposed, because I tried to fit a load of aftermarket into it that didn't fit.
Well, I'm in the same boat, to be honest. I'm in the same boat we're doing the MiG-19.
Yes.
I'm trying to, I wouldn't say shoehorn things in, but I'm trying to put things in that really I don't think it needs now, looking back. It's one of them when I bought it, because I think we were on about this not long ago on a Thursday show. Automatically you get carried away and go, right, I'm going to put this in, and does it actually need it? Do you know, that's me thought process now. Does it really need all this? I'm kind of committed, but going back, if I did it again, I wouldn't. Like I said, I'd probably have a seat. Perhaps some tools. I mean, one kit I have had and sold a couple of times that I'd really be tempted, but it's so big, is their F105 Thunder Chief, the Wild Weasel, the G.
Yeah.
But it is massive. That's huge. But yeah, they do some good stuff if you're a large scale builder.
And as you say, I have happy memories of this kit. As I say, this is one of those ones where I didn't think we was ever going to see the light of day with it. Crikey, do you know, look at that. I've got the old saw blade technique for doing me riveting before I had a Rosie the Riveter.
There you go.
There you go.
Hey.
So I would have messed around putting that lot in, and now you'd have been 2 seconds with a bloody Rosie the Riveter, and you're done.
Do you know something we've overlooked at what you've built? Your Crusader.
Yes, Buster.
Buster is a Trumpy kit originally.
I'm going to take 5 wires. Buster.
Hey, go on.
He is, bless him.
I know.
He was.
So you need to build another one of them.
I think I will do. I have to do a homage back. Buster, son of Buster.
Yeah, you do. It's because it's not that bad a kit to build either, is it?
No. Again, Buster had a hard life from day one because when I was building him, he was literally like this, and I dropped it. And the engine got shoved right up and then just fell out the back. And if people remember, but what they did is you've got all the entire length engines inside this thing. Because Buster originally, hold on, let me find you Buster as original, was in 2 halves. I actually cut him in 2 to put a tail brake into him, wherever Buster is. Did he get moved to the free section?
I have no idea.
I think he did. He went into the free section, which is a shame now, because the photos would be somewhere else. But what happened was I chopped the tail off and we put in all the fabrication in the back end so that the engine hangs out the back, which looked great. And then I was doing something in the intake and he slid out my hand and he dropped on the floor and the engine got shoved right up and then all the photo etch bent and it was like, oh my God, it's all gone. You probably see bits of photo etch down in there. Yeah. So what we've done over the years, poor old Buster was great and he was fine, and then he's just been used. So we put the tail back on and then I took it to an axe and then we sawed him in half, and he's been used for every demonstration purpose now over the last 10 years. Yeah. So that was poor old Buster.
Initial thing with that, if I remember, was to put some different decals on it and revamp.
Strip it, wasn't it? We were going to strip him back, yeah.
Yeah, strip it back, because I remember you taking it to the sink, I think, and
that was it. And we put him in
IPA
some
in it.
IPA, strip him back with IPA completely.
Yeah, I remember that. And then it all got, either you lost interest or
yes,
it was more work than you envisioned. So like, I didn't.
No, I think what it was that we were doing a demo or something, and I needed something, and because Buster was just sat there in plastic, it worked perfectly well. He came out like new.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh well, I'll just use it. Yeah. And then so we did something else, and it was like, well, Buster's there, and then before you know it, he'd been sort of mauled slightly,
abused
a little bit, yeah, and that was it. So, but yeah, there's some classics down here. So we got the Trumpeter, as you can see. This is the SU 24 in 48 scale.
And the Swordfish.
We've got the Swordfish, another classic. There's the Harrier.
Yeah.
There's the Corsair, famous Corsair.
Obviously, I know it's not there, but the A10 you've built.
There we go. That's Buster before he died.
Don't forget your F14.
Yeah, of course. Tomcat, sit up on the wall. Yeah. But no, they do some really very, very nice stuff. And you say their A10, we did that a few years ago and threw quite a lot of stuff at the A10. It's a really old kit, but actually people will tell you it's a horrible kit and it's this, that and the other. But it's not. You just need to spend a bit of time with it, And again, sometimes it's really nice to take a kit on that is not brilliant. And to be honest, that was the Bear for me. I did the TU95 Bear, the 72nd one. It's a big thing. And I had people saying to me, God, you're brave. And I was like, am I? Why, is it that bad? And they're like, yep, that's an awful kit. But I knew it was bad, and that was the really nice thing about it. So you get into it, and actually, it's not a bad kit. It's just that things don't fit easily. So like the engine, the cells, you marry them up and there's big gaps all the way around it, and then you just say to yourself, it doesn't fit. Right, well, what we're going to do, we're just going to tack them in place. We'll run some plastic hard around it. We'll get the filler onto it. We'll sand and smooth it, and then we'll just rescribe and re-rivet. And by the time you've got that mindset that, it's actually went together really, really nicely. And I think, it hangs on my wall. You've probably all seen it. It's one of those kits that I look at it and think, do you know what? That turned out really well. I'm really happy of how it came out, purely because it's not a straightforward kit. It's not, it's something that just needed basic modelling skills. It was just sanding, filling, sanding, rescribing, re-riveting. That's all it's had. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the basics of what we do. So, it's got nothing fancy. There's no photo etch on it. There's no resin. There's none of this stuff. It is a straightforward build. But it works. It looks really, really nice and came out really, really well. And that's typical of Trumpeter sometimes. Early Trumpeter just needs a little bit of work. But you do have that sort of warm and shiny type of feel afterwards when you have done it,
Yeah, the satisfaction, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. But it was a fun build to do. And she turned out very nicely in the end. There she is.
Yeah.
Good job.
Cool looking aircraft as well.
It is, yes, definitely. So, So anyway, go off and have a go with Trumpeter. Give them a whirl. Don't diss them, because they're all right, actually. And as I say, for the price you pay, let's face it, at the end of the day, as modelers, money, down to each pence, where you can save a bit of money. If you just want to put in that little bit extra work, you can make these as good as any AAA company out there. There is aftermarket available for everything as well. So if you wanted to, you can throw the aftermarket at them and make them extra, extra special.
Yeah.
So, that's what I would highly recommend it, though. Highly, highly recommend it.
Yes.
We show to trumpet some love.
I agree. Totally agree.
Yes. I'm just trying to think, actually, just as to balance this up. Every manufacturer has a really bad kit, like Tamiya has their Harrier, and their A10, from an aircraft point of view, and some of their tanks are a little bit dodgy as well. But I can't actually think of a kit where I would actually steer away from it with Trumpeter.
Eurofighter, 32nd.
Again, the trouble with that is it was actually based on, wasn't it, the pre-production version, which had the Tornado engines. So everyone says it's got the wrong engines. No, it hasn't. It's got the right engines, because that was the one when it used to fly with the Tornado engines in it, before it got the Eurofighter engines.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people are like, it's got the wrong engines. No, it's actually got the right engines, because it's the right one. And it's got riveted wings. It did have the prototype did. Yeah. So, that was the thing to it. But yeah, it's still buildable though. I built it.
It's just buildable. So, it's not unbuildable, no.
Yeah,
no,
it's buildable. But it's not like a kit where I'd actually think, do you know what, that's an awful kit. That just needs to be forgotten about.
I bet there is one in the car.
There's got to be one there. If you're at home,
we'll get
pipe up. Tell me, your mission for today, people, is to say which you think is their worst kits and that are unbuildable. Put it in the show notes down below, because we'd like to hear your theories on that. So, but I can't think of one I've ever built and thought, do you know what, this is just awful.
No, because all you get is normally it's inaccurate.
Yeah.
Decals are rubbish, but I can't think of anything as in what I've read in the past of going, it doesn't build well. I mean, your beard would get as had a hammer in than a sense. So that might be there if people, but I don't know how many people's actually built. It's one of them where it's people's probably got them like John.
Yeah, people hear about it and then they've never done it themselves, so can't.
It's a stash queen because of how big it is and where do you put it when it's built. It's one of them, isn't it? I mean, like the blackjack and the bigger stuff they do. Don't know, it'd be interesting, won't it? It'd be interesting to see what people have got to say.
See what you think, people.
Yeah. Anyway, so shall we wrap that up with Trumpy?
Yes, I think so. There you go. Bye, Trumpy.
Bye, Trumpy. Yeah. Bye, Trumpy. Yeah. So just in other news, ICM's Bronco is released.
Yes.
And ours have got ordered yesterday, and hopefully will be here by the end of the week. So, guys on pre-order, you will be getting an invoice.
Yes, they are due in very, very soon.
Yeah, new arrivals are a bit shy on the ground at the minute because obviously it's a bit of a quieter week. We're on restock. We've got an AK restock coming in, so keep that up to date. And that's actually in transit now, so might be here by the end of the week, if not early next week. So that's on its way. We're going to get some more tools in, as you can see, and we've also got some stuff coming in from Tamiya. So we've got some damaged box stuff coming in, which again could be today or tomorrow. So we'll get them up, and obviously probably Phil's roundup show on Friday.
Yeah, I'll talk you all through that one.
You know, to talk us through. But yeah, shop wise, bit of a quieter week, as in stuff coming in and out, new, especially new stuff again. So you've got stuff to.
I've got down in here the Hawk. Matt sent me down this week. We've got the Panzer and we've got the T90. They are here, and I'll do the reviews of those this week. So I don't know about today, but definitely tomorrow you get the Hawk, and then obviously on Friday you'll get something else, and at the weekend I'll pop up the third one. Yeah. So that's not a problem.
Yeah.
And we'll get those up to you.
Just going back to Revell as well with their new releases, because I know that there's a lot of repops in the ICM reboxing and some of their own, but actually going back to the Mandalorian TV program, there's going to be an actual Mandalorian.
Yes, and got a figure.
Grogu, they're doing, I think, called the child, whatever.
Yes.
And also there's a Slave One in there as well. So
we're thinking, wasn't it? We were talking about this the other day, and it looks like perhaps Revell have got the licensing for Disney, because obviously we've got Boba Fett, the new series, going to be starting, so that ties in with Slave coming through.
Yeah.
And obviously with Mandalorian's filming Series 3 at the moment.
Yeah.
So it looks like, it looks like Revell have got, possibly, we don't know if it's worldwide, but definitely obviously the Europe theatre for that. So there should be some nice stuff coming through from there.
Yeah,
Obviously,
there's a lot of other Star Wars related stuff coming back out as well. So obviously we know Revell's got the licensing in Europe for Star Wars, so
yeah.
there's no other information on any Bandai stuff coming over. I think it's just what we've already got. I mean, we've had the Little Star Destroyer and Death Star,
Yeah.
a small one, back in stock. So we are waiting on. We've got the Y-wings in.
The Y-wings. I know. I was just about to mention that because obviously there was a lot of talk about the Y-wings are not available at the moment and all the rest of it. We've got them.
Yeah. We've got them in.
Yeah.
The only one that was out is Slave One. I think that you can't get any more.
Yeah.
That's gone for whatever reason, but there must be a reason behind that. Oh God, what's the other fighter that came out with the Death Star and
the A-wing?
No, got loads of A-wings. There's something else. Can't think what it was.
Oh,
but also
the
as well,
B-wing?
actually, the what?
The B-wing.
B-wing. That's the other one that we haven't got at the minute. But I think that is coming back, and also the big Millennium Falcon one you built. This perfect grade one. We should be having that in as well, hopefully by the end of the year.
Cool.
So yeah, it's all ticking over. It's Star Wars time, innit?
Yeah, well, it's that thing, isn't it? December is usually Star Wars month because the films usually come out along there, but obviously not this year. But yeah, so interesting stuff. But as I say, we are expecting lots of restocks coming in. Obviously, Revell. I know people are still talking about the SR-71.
December, innit?
I've been heard beginning of December. So
yeah, I did have an email about it to say have we heard anything. And as far as I know, it's December.
Yeah, and it's the same with
there's Razor Quest, didn't they? Yeah. So I think it's going to be back end of this month, December. We'll see.
Yes.
So just as well, while we're on the auction that we did.
Yes. Massive success. Thank you, everyone.
Good laugh, wasn't it?
It was. Yes.
Always entertaining doing an auction. So I've not been on. I know Phil's mentioned it. I have invoiced everybody. That's from me personally, and obviously from PM. A lot of everybody, I think, is literally played PM. I've still got some outstanding on my own personal one. Can you check your junk and spam if you won the items? It might have gone in there because I did have a message last night saying he'd not had an invoice, but I know I'd sent it, so I did say to check that avenue. Any problems, then just let me know and I'll resend it. But yeah, so we can get that paid. I'll get them out. The auction stuff, as in who paid, went out yesterday, so you should be getting that probably tomorrow, which is
good
cool.
Stuff. Yeah, I must admit, all my auction lot went out as well. So good job on that, everyone.
Nathan was busy packing last night. John's has already gone, as far as he said as well. So, yeah, good laugh as always, good fun. So, most enjoyable.
Definitely. Good job. And everyone's going to have loads more money, aren't they, by the end of the year? So it'll be fine. Anyway, moving on. Everyone's going to be a lot more richer than they thought.
Yeah.
Just saying. Right, should we do some questions and we can wrap the show up?
Yep, absolutely, mate.
If I can find them. Here we go. And first one is Andrew. He says he's bought the Trumpeter nippers, the 09999 ones, which is the cheaper one, isn't it? Yeah, this is the good quality one. And assuming the nut is for adjusting them, can I ask how this can be adjusted? The nut is very small and I don't want to damage them and I don't have a spanner. Yeah, so as I said, I spoke about it yesterday on there. You've got a little tiny hex grub screw in here and a little nut on the other side. Basically what it does is to stop it from over talking together. Sorry, I'll get rid of that. So over talking it. So the whole point is that you come in and when you press down onto it, it stops the blades pushing together each other because they're very thin. If they did, like a normal pair of pliers, it would shatter. So that's what they do. Technically, you shouldn't need to touch it. I've never touched one in my life. And I did the paper test on them all yesterday. So you just go up to the paper and you click it and it just is enough just about to cut the paper, but not every time. There's a minute gap between the blades. So that is on purpose. They shouldn't physically actually touch when you push it together really hard. And that's what that does and stops it. So theoretically, you don't have to. The easiest way as well, put a bit of paper in the back half and see if it stabs it together. So you just pop it a bit of paper in the back, then push it, and you should have a little dot. If you're not getting a dot, the chances are you're putting the pressure in the wrong place. So you just want to just give it a whirl, pop a bit of paper in there. If you push down and there's a dot in there, you're fine. It means it's working. If there's no dot in there, it's not coming obviously together to stop it from overpressing. But the whole point of that is so when you put the pressure on this part of the handles and you squeeze, it stops it there, so it's not pushing down on the blade side. Because if you overdo them, they will shatter. But as I say, I've never had to adjust it ever.
I was about to say I wouldn't be touching them. I think they're already set up.
I think they are set in the factory for the correct width. Yeah.
So yeah, again, I wouldn't be messing because you might cause more damage than.
Because if you don't do it and you go through something and you cut through something slightly hard as well, that final bit will then shock through and you'll clink through and then you'll just break a blade, and that's what they're designed to stop doing.
Yeah.
Leave alone. That's the best bit.
Yeah.
It's like my airbrush. I put a new needle and that in there and it foxed me for a week.
Yeah.
It was running fine before. Mark said, will you be able to get hold of the Flyhawk 72nd scale SDB SBD Dauntless? Seems to be available in the Far East now, so presumably UK soon.
I'll make inquiries about that. I'll go to somebody, because we don't really stock Flyhawk. They do a lot of ships, really. And I mean, they're all very nice. You know, ships if you're into that, but it's not really what we sell. So I will ask a said supplier. And,
yes, we will find out for you and we'll get back to you on that one, Mark. If we get any info in that, we'll pop it down in the show notes below.
Yep.
Stuart says, hi guys, apologies, I have a few questions, I hope you can help. I was looking around for some decent clamps, particularly that would be ideal for fuselages in various scales. Came across an old video Phil did the Master Tools clamps. Master Tool clamps. Which ones are they?
I don't know. I don't know if he means the friction clamps that you can't get anymore. Because I can't think if Trumpy do clamps.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I can't remember Master Tools doing clamps.
Just bear with me. I can have a quick look. I think if I can get on. I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'll have a look.
Have a look for that number. See what it comes up with.
What number is it?
It's 09951.
Well, that is a Trumpy number.
It is. That's what I was thinking as well.
Hold on.
I don't remember ever doing a thing on it.
Master Tool. Hold on, just bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves.
If we just pulp into tool reviews, I'll just check it. So we've got mini drill. Sorry, a bit slow because we're doing this at the same time.
Yeah, we're doing this live. Come
on. There we go. Right, Trumpy tools. Just check down in here. That's cutters, airbrushes, paint,
tweezers, drill bits.
Drill bits.
Club set. What's the number?
Sorry, where are we?
I've got 69951.
Yeah, he's got down as 09951. So perhaps that's.
Yeah, it is. It's just a thing. So 09951. Yeah, they are available.
Oh right.
Oh yes, I remember you have done this.
What is it? What do they look like?
Clamps. You asked for that.
I did.
Asked for that. Oh God, you'll know when you see them. It's hard to explain because you get like little crosses, little green crosses with elastic bands.
Oh, those ones. Yes, I get it.
But you get other stuff as well in them. We should stock these. I don't know why we don't. And circles and funny shapes.
I remember it now. Yeah. It comes as a little kit, isn't it?
And then you get 3 circles.
Yeah.
That you.
Yeah, I do remember it now. Crikey, that was a while. Again, it's one of those really cheap tools, but it's really handy. So the crosses, what you can do is put rubber bands around it, and it doesn't touch the plastic. So it's quite handy for that.
Do you know something? I've just noticed one of them is a bottle opener.
Oh, yeah.
I've never noticed that. So
to be honest, they must be in my drawers behind me somewhere.
I'm like, what's that one there? That sort of...
Yeah.
And it's a bottle opener.
It
or
is.
Jar opener for like
jar opener.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll be getting these in stock.
We'll get them back in because, again, it's probably one of those quite handy, the cross ones as well, because I remember using them because you put rubber bands on it and hook it round it.
I'll tell you what.
Locks it.
They get little circles as well. So now if you're doing ordnance,
barrels and things,
gun barrels are there, or pipes, or some, just exhausts.
Yes.
And it just must friction them together. Oh right, okay.
Crikey, that was a blast from the past.
Okay. Not typical Trumpy. They come on a couple of sprues, but how much are they?
Well, he's got them on eBay for $8.34.
Yeah, you're looking at like a tenner.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I'm in euros here. But yeah.
Yeah, these coming in from outside the UK. So anyway, these are somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because it's 12 quid postage.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We will.
We will look into getting those.
Yes, we will. I'll have a look as soon again when I've done what I need to do. I'll have a look at them because I need to get some snips back in anyway. So
yeah,
and other bits.
He also says he's recently taken the plunge and doing some tracks and armour. Could we recommend a good burnishing fluid?
AKs I use, but obviously we stock we're out of stock, mate. Hey,
oh, are we?
Sold out.
Always the way.
Well, again, we've got an AK order coming and it's on that.
Right.
So, yeah, but the AK one I use, but again, there's other companies that do burnishing fluid loads. It's,
yes.
If we worked out a mild form of acid, isn't it?
Acid, yeah, basically.
Very mild.
It's a mild acid, and then obviously as soon as it's in it sort of blackens and all the rest of it, isn't it, and etches into it.
Yeah.
Okay, also I was wondering if we'd be doing a pre-order and stocking the border models 35th scale Stug 3 interior and no interior versions.
We will be stocking them. I'm not going to do a pre-order on it if I'm honest, but we will be stocking the border models.
Yes. And finally, on a Thursday night show a few weeks back, Andy mentioned that Matt had bought some 3D printed tool clamps for armour. I wanted to ask what company was it from? And would you recommend them?
Oh God, yes. MJ Miniatures do it, but I think now there is a lot of other companies who's kind of jumped on it as well. So you can get American ones and every type of German tool clamp.
Right.
They're actually upstairs. If I'd have read this earlier, I could have got you and showed you the box. But it's MJ Miniatures that mine are. And would I recommend them? Yes. Unless you're a sadist and you like building photo etch clamps. And I would say to anybody, try it once because you won't probably want to do it again.
No.
My eyesight is not anywhere near good enough to do photo etch tool clamps. I have tried and I'm all fingers, thumbs, and I can't see what I'm doing. Have you tried photo etch tool clamps? Have you ever tried to build them? Honestly, even with optimizers on. You have got to have the precision of a surgeon or a watchmaker to put them together because they're tiny and you have to bend them and they're workable. So you can actually, I mean, they're brilliant when they're done. I envy anybody who can build them, but they are so fiddly. It's unbelievable. Yes. And obviously, you know how many clamps a tank has. Yeah. So it's not just you building one or two. You've got quite a few. And
loads of them. That's well above my.
So these photo etch ones are really well detailed. What you do have to do if you're putting tools in them is obviously trim your tools down. So you have to do a measuring and cutting. So the resin, obviously, and you can obviously slide it in and work it. I think there's a YouTube video on how to use them as well. If anybody wants to Google that. So, but yeah, well worth it. But good for empty tool clamps as well. If you know what I mean. If you don't want them. So yeah.
Nice. Pre-orders, just finish off. Obviously, we've got the Tamiya Hellcat ongoing. We've got that 112 Tamiya Suzuki GSX.
Suzuki, because there's the fork set and stuff out for it. And I know people's have asked for it. And I'm going to obviously take note of who wants it. So if you do want that kit and the fork set, just put down one and the fork set, what people have already done. And we'll get them in for you. But I do like that. I think
that does look good. Very, very good.
Cool looking bike. This is a special.
Yes.
I nearly forgot about this. So we've been offered a limited number, as you can see, and so it's first come first served. But if you want one, obviously the retail's normally 74, and we're doing it for 64. So we're knocking a tenner off and postage. And actually, it's not a bad kit. No, it's got no engines and stuff. But again, it's
we should do a pre-order for a Lancaster. Just saying.
Should we?
Might be popular soon.
No.
And I'm not editing that out.
No, I know you're not going to either. And then obviously the Lancia.
Yeah, which we've had a bit of interest in this.
Well, one.
Well, there you go. That's what I call a bit.
I
didn't say a lot. I said a bit. But anyway, so yeah, we got a pre-order on one of these as well. So again, I know it's a lot of money, but as we've said, that's pretty cool. Very, very nice.
I'd want to get in it and drive it. And I was thinking, I was on about last week about the two-door version. You know, the super duper rally. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a two. I went to look upstairs at the S.
Oh right.
Is it an S1, I think, or whatever it was? The new kit anyway, and it is a two-door one. So they did one. But actually, do you know what? I actually prefer a 4-door Lancia or 5-door if you want the hatchback. I don't know why. I just think it looks nicer. But there you go. Personal opinion.
We'll just scoot across these because we're running out of time. But obviously we got as well the... If we go back here. This is due out very, very soon. All right, it's my other half. That one's due out, isn't it? We got a month due out on the 1st of December.
Yeah,
so
December.
This is for the Tora for the Type 210 Pearl Harbor edition.
Yes.
So if you are interested in that one, get your name down for that one, because I say it would be 54.70 and we got it at 49 quid.
Yeah.
So good deal on that one as well.
Yes.
Right, we'll leave it there, I think.
We will.
We will, definitely. Good show as always. As I say, let us know what you think about Trumpeter. What have they had as a bad kit? We like to do a balanced review, so if we can point out some of the dodgy ones to avoid, we will do that as well.
Yeah, so, but overall, we're quite positive about Trumpy, aren't we?
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. I've really bigged them up today, but I always like to do a balanced review, but I just can't think of a bad kit.
No, they must have done.
There's got to be one. I just can't think of it, and I've never built one that's been horrendous. So,
just a shameless plug for the BM channel.
Yes,
he's actually finished. So
nice.
I've been filming and finishing the base and the bits and bobs. When the footage will be up, I don't know, but we'll try and get that sorted for the last part of this guide to be put up. And can I just say a proper big thank you for everybody who's actually subscribed to the channel. There are quite a few subscribers. I think near 500. I'm going to get one of them plaques soon.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you need 100,000 to get a plaque.
Well, I'm not far off. I'm a YouTube phenomenon.
That's it. You get a paper one for 1,000.
I'm anybody who's watched, I'm happy with, so I'm not that bothered. But yeah, we'll see about getting the last part of him up at some point in the near future and wrap that build up, because it's been dragging on, like I say, and I've been doing this.
Yes.
So, yeah, all good.
Very, very nice.
Thank you.
Cool. Right, okie dokie, we'll call it there. Don't forget you can catch us tomorrow night live. We'll be on with you at 7:30. Sorry. For a train, apparently. No, we're not. We're doing our Heads Down show. It's a new show format for us. We're going to be calling it Heads Down because you're going to be using the overhead cameras for the entire team. So you can see what we're going to do. And we're going to do some modelling. So we'll still be answering your questions and talking general chit-chat.
Well, I think sorry, mate. I think what we'll do is, because the actual normal questions we're going to leave locked for this one. Because obviously, if we've got our heads down, but we're going to have the chats on, aren't we?
The chat will be on. The live chat will be on.
The chat will be on, so we'll be doing it from there. And then I think somebody's back on tomorrow night, so I'm sure we'll be monitoring that.
Yes. His Highness is returning
to
us.
Yes. Prodigal son has returned.
Yeah, Prodigal son will be on here. So yes, good one for that one. Anyway, we will cease and desist this show for today. And we will be back with you obviously next week, or you can catch us live as we make our way through. Happy modelling, take care, we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.